Tony Robinson.
That's me. Big as life and twice as beautiful.
Larger than life. My full disclosure, my first boss in video, when you and your colleagues ran Better Broadcast Team Limited.
Becky and Bubbles.
Becky Bubbles and Tony, people used to say.
Right,
BBT
yeah.
meant. Prolific writer, television producer and director, and the head of Saido Karate in Jamaica.
Yeah.
That is quite a mouthful, right, T-Rob?
Well, my life is divided into 3 compartments,
Tell me about
as
it.
you pointed out. Well, the first one is video production, which I started out very, very young, actually, leaving KC, 40s, wherever.
Yeah.
Armed with my A-levels, right, seeking a job. I thought about university because I passed econ A-level, and I loved econ at the time. But after a while, I said, all the figures, numbers was my thing. So I applied at GIS, and my first interview was with Kerry Robinson, the legendary Kerry Robinson, who was no relation, but he was my mentor. And first interview, we sat down and spoke, and I remember, as a young man, I thought I was, would change the world, because even from that age, I was hooked on Time and Newsweek magazine, even from school days, sixth form. So I was au fait with all things in the world. So I thought I was, bright and smart. Anyway, so the Kerry interviewed me, Mr. Robinson, and he employed me at GIS as a PA assistant. And while there, my father, who was at the time at GBC, advised me to learn everything you can about the industry. And that I did. I pulled cables, set up light, set up props, everything, sweep floor, and
Before we go any further, I would like to give a shout out to our sponsor, Creative Sounds. Creative Sounds is a media production company offering multiple services, including audio recording for corporate, commercial, and performing artist clients. Creative Sounds has a social media marketing department and also in-house video production of commercials, documentaries, and live events. Creative Sounds is a talent placement agency and is well known for its music library featuring every rhythm and style. So for media production, call Creative Sounds.
my boss, too, first was Jean Barnes, who also taught me a lot. She is a very dynamic person, and I learned so much from her. She's a no holds barred person, who in her world, there's nothing else can't, and everything can be done. So while at GIS now, I learned the craft. And in those days, though, it was live TV and film, not video, film. So I also dabbled in film editing downstairs. Much to chagrin of the people. Like I said, stop coming on the machine, T-Rob, leave machine alone, but I want to learn everything. In those days, it's called a steam brake machine. And it's filmed. You actually slice it, right, hold it up, use glue, paste it back, film days and live TV days. Those days were really, those days changed my life, because it doesn't work. It was so much fun, and it was live TV. So at 6:30 in the evening, we were on the air. Rain, shine, whatever, we had to be on the air at 6:30. And in the programs, we would live insert in studio and also film that went out in the field and film. And then we used JBC studios at the time. So we were, actually, I grew up actually in JBC studio. So it was very interesting, dynamic. We had so much, it doesn't work.
It was all fun.
All fun, right?
And you became famous, T-Rob, for Life with the Littles.
Okay, yes.
I was a little taught at the time.
Yes.
But it was a very, very popular program. Popular drama program.
The TV series.
Yeah, TV series.
Which somebody just asked me. I never wrote a play before in my life. I said, right, it says and so on, but that's to the right place. I said, okay, sure. And it just, that's why, I keep saying, that people we have gifts. And it's not me. It's a gift that just flows through me. Because I remember the night I sat down and started to write. And it just came. It just came. There were half-hour series, right, shot live in Studio B. Because not at nowhere you shoot and you edit and you shoot and you edit. No, we shot it. It was actually live in studio, and we actually taped live. So what you saw on tape was what you got. No chance to edit. So Life of Littles, it is really, like I say, a series dealing with the issues of the day. Okay, issues like family health, family planning, wayward children, just general issues of the day. So I wrote that series. Afterwards, there's actually a spin-off called Around the Browns, right, which wasn't as popular as Littles, as most spin-offs aren't in a way. But Littles really, it defined what I could do in drama. And people ask me how I did it, and I can't tell them. That's why I can't teach writing, because it just flows.
It's intuitive for you.
Right.
And I read somewhere recently that if you allow your intuition to develop and to follow it, it can be far more valuable than the intellect.
Absolutely, yeah. Well put. So Little's all right. It starred Bobby Lee, and there was Joan. I forgot Joan's name, and also Teddy Patel, who is actually Tony Patel's younger brother. He was the son at the time in the series. He's away now in Florida. But I mean, it was so much. I mean, like I say, it was enormous mirth and joy and fun to do that series. There was no ego or anything, and even though I wrote it on paper, the stars actors also had their input with ad-lib, which almost always worked.
How old were you at the time when you were writing Life of the Littles?
Whoa, well, let me see.
Must have been quite young.
Yeah, man, because I left sixth form at 18, started 18, so I was about 20 or 21. And then,
which is ridiculously young for doing something like that in television.
Yes. But at the time, like I say, I didn't know, because I thought that I would change the world. You know what I mean? So by age 25 now, right, I went BBC on a scholarship, a broadcast scholarship on BBC, and that also had a great impact on my life. The difference is, right, whereas out here, we did everything out here. Like I said, draw a cable, fix props, lighting, sound, everything, right? At BBC, they believed in people being specialists. So you're on sound, you're on camera, you're a boom man, and no one crosses their line of demarcation. So when I went on my course now, I was jumping around and everything. They say, we know all this stuff. I said, well, back home, it's what you did. And at a point, they didn't believe me. They said, are you serious? I said, yes, back home, we do everything. Jump around. If a man's sick, we're just jumping for him. But after a while, they believe me, Because while there, I could do all that they asked me to do.
And the irony is, T-Rob, is that some number of years ago, I got a job to shoot something, documentary thing for BBC, and they didn't give me a camera assistant. The producer was the camera assistant, because they were getting into multi-skill.
Right.
Because they realized that the economics of it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Decades later.
Exactly. Like I say, nowadays we can't really. We have to multitask. We can't each person. Gone are days when you're a teacher or you're a mason. You have to do everything, literally everything, you know. So BBC was fun, everything, right? And London was fun, you know. And then so I returned now to GIS, trying to adapt what I learned in BBC back here. It couldn't work really in our culture, you know. I tried for a while, but then I mean, what I learned there was invaluable, but I had to really tweak it back to our way.
The local conditions.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
And the culture.
Right.
The local culture.
Right. I remember many years ago, I adopted a play by Steenbeck. I think it's called Rattle of a Simple Man. And I used Oliver Samuels in the play before Oliver was Oliver. And it is a classic play actually. And Oliver really did the play to perfection. You know, like I say, the European play, the Russian, adapted to Jamaica. And Oliver, I mean, he was really outstanding.
And this is why you're at JS as well?
Yeah, man. In fact, JS was my only job, you know. Only.
As an employee?
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Formal job.
Yes, I know.
You know.
And you went on at JIS to become a manager later on.
Okay, right. By then I was senior producer at JIS by then, and afterwards now I turned managing director. But even so, I was still hands-on doing stuff, right? And we produced a show called Night View, and I was in charge of Night View, and that blew JIS. It was nuclear. It turned JIS into a super program because we were now in prime time at GBC. I think about 9:30 or 10 o'clock at prime time, and it was really outstanding, right? And it is so much so it won some awards, some PAJ awards, Press Association awards. Night View was really really hot. People who used there was Gary Nita, the printer, and Elise Kelly. And it was really a great show. It was snappy, you know, really, really good.
But you transitioned to BBT after.
Okay, now.
How did that start?
All right, now. While at JS now, Beck and Bobs themselves say, I tell you what, let's try to branch out on our own. And we started doing little stuff, right? But then the people knew us in the industry, and we got to work. So after a while, I couldn't write two horses at the same time, JIS and BBT. So I left JIS on good terms actually, because even after I left JIS, right, we got jobs, freelance jobs from JIS for BBT. So even though I left, I was working both places, you know.
I remember.
At the same time, you know, because I loved that jazz. I was, you know, I mean, because of my work ethic, and also how I dealt with people.
And you mentored quite a bit of people there as well.
Yes.
Kirk Buchanan
yes.
was one of your mentees, I believe.
Yes.
And Wesley and Paul and other people came under your influence. Paul Josephs.
Paul Joseph, right. He's in sports, no cricket.
Cricket
right.
cameraman.
I was a part in the years, yeah.
And Wesley was a senior cameraman
right.
there as well.
So many people, you know, because at JIS it was a big family, and I believe in really honing people's skills and not keeping them down. You know, right? As a person has a skill, I draw it out more in them. Right? I said, listen, if you can do it, do it. Don't hold back your skill.
Well, I remember, before I go back to BBT, I remember when I was no more than 10 years old, my niece used to work for you, Janice Lopez.
Janice Lopez.
She used to be a production assistant.
Yes, Janice.
I used to come check her, because I went to school in Half a Tree Primary. I used to come check her at JIS sometimes. And this time I come check her, I said, this tall man, T-Rob.
Yes.
And you said, Uncle Gregory. Because obviously she's older than I am.
Right.
And, or you, because you might know my name, I said, Uncle.
Yes.
And at the same time, Jack Mandora was walking up that spiral staircase coming
Yes,
up there.
yes.
You had, what kind of influence Jack Mandora had on you as a writer? Any at all?
Jack Madeira, I choose none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vernon Lopez.
Vern Lopez. Yes, because I say, I admired how we use our local vernacular to get his story across. I respect that. You know, I mean, yeah, I love English. I write English, but I also love our Jamaican vernacular. I love it kind of done, right? And even though when I write, I intersperse it in my writing, right? And Vernon Lopez he was such a natural in his delivery, a presentation, you know, that I learned so much from him too, you know, how easy he was, you know, in doing his stuff. So he too influenced me.
So back to BBT now. I mean, we did one of the first things I remember. I as a young cameraman there myself, which is where I learned my craft pretty much. You'd said to me when I make a mistake, "Well, man, suppose you're a pilot." You remember that, Tony?
I don't remember, but
the plane with a crash.
it sound like me. It sound like me, you know,
And
yes.
you would always say, "You're only as good as your last job."
Right, that's true, yes.
I mean, those things stuck with me quite honestly,
Yes.
and helped to guide me to be more diligent in my profession going
yes.
forward. Tell me about your BBT years and some of the important projects, because we did do some very important projects there.
Yeah, man, BBT was, I mean, we were hot, man, because
We're one of the top production companies in the country.
yes.
Yeah.
You know, and we work on things like, I mean, some Fizz, some Splash. I mean, our doors are always open to all these big clients, and because of Becky influence and mine too, and Bob's too, people are drawn to us, and also the ease of which we worked.
And the technical ability.
Precisely.
The technical ability.
You know, and we all had their own special skills.
Strengths and so, yeah,
Right, you know.
for sure.
So the BBT was good.
One of the projects that I was really, I mean, to this day, I think about it with a lot of pride, is Safe Travel.
Oh,
That was written by Trevor Rowan.
Trevor Rowan.
And you did the direction.
Safe Travel. Yeah, man. We shot it up in the hills at Bella's Gate, which is way up in, you pass Old Harbour and drive up in the hills at Bella's Gate. Which Trevor Rowan grew up actually as a child, Bella's Gate. That was really a momentous docudrama that I enjoy doing so much. You know,
Just frame it again for me and tell me what it was about.
it is about about AIDS prevention, AIDS, and this farm worker who so Jamaica went overseas, you know, and met girl over there, and it really promoted the condom use, you know, and it starred Linford Salmon, who was star,
And Dorothy
Dorothy
Cunningham.
right,
Mhm.
and Carl Davis,
And Carl Davis.
right,
I see Carl all the time nowadays.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, man, and it was really, like I say, you know, it was really very Jamaican and very earthy, because it was a farmer program, and these guys left here, went overseas, you know, met women on the side, and you know, left their wives at home, you know, or living women at home, you know, they returned, spread AIDS, you know, or didn't spread AIDS. All depends on how responsible or irresponsible they were. So you know, it was really impactful, and so much so, even though years afterwards, it is still shown all the time on World AIDS Day on TVJ. And, you know, and if you see it now, it's timeless.
It's timeless. And even after it had shown in Jamaica, it went international. It was being shown in Africa and other developing countries.
All over the place,
Yeah.
right? You know, I mean, I was proud of that. You know, and those days, boy, like I said, right, we left town every morning at 4 o'clock.
No, you did. We stayed in Bellasgate. Becky and me and I think Howie.
Right. You stayed.
We stayed
And
set up for the next morning before you guys arrived.
And drove in there, started for 4 morning. But it was really a fun program, from fun stroke educational production.
Yeah. And Trevor Rowan had started to because he produced the show.
Yes.
To build a little place. Remember a concrete structure that eventually I think became a house for the person whose house it was. Remember?
Right. That's right. Because in the play, the farm worker was building a house and started it. Right. And Trevor afterwards, the finance.
Yeah.
Finishing the house. Yeah.
It was amazing. And we did lots of documentaries for corporate stuff, for Grace Kennedy and for Shell.
I've lost count of how...
You lost count of that,
Jamalco,
And countless stage shows.
Oh! Stage show. Oh, my word. I remember the one across Hillshire Beach with my schoolmate, the Ogilvy, Poco. What was Rockstar? I forgot the name of them. But
Fort Clarence.
Fort Clarence, right?
Yes, we had like a wooden stage.
Right. So many stage shows, man. I mean, also with the Bunny Wailer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was an iconic stage show. I only saw the footage.
We shot the footage, right?
Yeah.
And it was good. God, Bunny was good. And Bunny held on to those tapes for years and say, boy, the tape worth $1 million, I'll sell them, And I don't even know if they were actually released.
Well, I don't know, but one day, a few years ago, pre-COVID, I was in a hardware store in Halfway, and I see him come in. And, before that, I remember Becky and me driving somewhere because he used to live near Reach Falls area.
Yes.
Bonnie had a house there. And Becky would say, hey, I got check Bonnie Wheeler now. You have some money for us.
Yes.
And Becky would just pull into Bonnie Wheeler's place and say, Bonnie. And Bonnie would just push a little paper bag outside the window.
Yes.
With money, right?
That's money, yeah.
Well, I saw him, Bonnie Wheeler. I didn't know the man. And I said, respect Jabby. And I told him who I was and that I worked for Becky. And so... And him start talking about the tapes.
The tape, yes.
Say the
still
time.
Still have them.
This is an HD period of time, and he carried them to CPTC or wherever, and they look so beautiful, same way.
Yeah, same way. Yeah.
He was enamored with the material.
But unfortunately, I don't think they were ever released.
Wow.
I don't think so. But talking about the Bunny Wailer, reflecting back to my JS days.
Yeah.
Barn Life Littles, we also have bands in studio, shot live in studio, live on tape. And I remember one big program I did, I'll never forget, was a show with Peter Tosh. And everyone said at that time, boy, Peter Tosh, hard to work with, but he was such a humble soul, and in studio there. And it was done in studio and shot and broadcast. It was a great show, but unfortunately, as most things now, those tapes are all gone, never to be retrieved. Lord knows where they are.
And that's a problem that we have in Jamaica in archiving.
No sense of history, Gregory.
No sense of history.
It is so unfortunate. I did so many shows, like I said, Peter Tosh, not Bob Marley, but Richard Ace, so many big artists at the time. Leroy Smart sat out with us, other guys too, of that, that era, that ilk, so many shows, some good, some bad, some different, but we had so many beautiful artists got the platform on JIS TV, JIS Live at the time, semi-live at the time, you know what I mean, but unfortunately... Live on tape.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all gone, so there's no history of these things at all.
That is a shame. Only the memory.
In mind, yeah.
One of the first guests I had on the podcast was Pierre Lemire.
Pierre, yeah.
And when I first worked, I didn't know Pierre before. When I first worked with him was in the early 2000s, and I was able to find a tape with the project.
Really?
And yes, because I learned from you guys to archive.
Archive, why?
Don't throw away nothing.
No.
So I was able to find the material and use it 20 odd years later.
Whoa. I wish even now that I could find even one tape of Life with Littles.
Whoa.
But unfortunately, because in those days, right, even though shot live, it was actually recorded on the 2-inch Ampex tape, the white tape, the big one that's spun around, right? And those gone. And then, unfortunately, also, because tapes were scarce, after we record and so on, we'd record over them and erase what's there. So, I mean, we really lacked a sense of history and archives.
Yeah, terrible.
Yes.
But BBC evolved and did stuff, and then one of the things we did, both you and Becky as producers, was work on a program named Scene, which is where I learned a lot about documentary making.
Yes.
For Dan Buckner.
Dan Buckner, yes.
At the JBC.
Gregory, your memory is extraordinary.
And you did a lot of plays.
Yes.
I shot them for you.
Yes.
A lot of plays, and we would do things like we would drive to Westmoreland one day, you and I. That time you had a very fast car, not you, Robbie. You met me have to strap in the car the day. It was a double overhead car.
The OHC, wow.
And we went to Westmoreland to shoot John Canoes. You remember that?
Yes.
We drove down that morning.
Yes.
And we did a lot of things like that for Scene.
And also Mentor Yard. No, our music is just extraordinary. And Trevor Rowan too was actually the producer of Mentor Yard too. And we shot, Mento, Dinky Mini, Burro, Brookins. I mean, the music was so iconic and beautiful. And those things, well, fortunately, those things are still on tape, right? And they're still being, even though being shown right now, because I think we were commissioned by JCDC to do it. And, those things are stuck in my mind forever.
So, you started to express yourself now as a columnist, with the Observer writing under the nom de plume, Daddy-O. Which quite suits you.
One day, Sandra Champagne, who at the time worked at Observer. The time Observer was just a few months old. And she said, "It's you'll be all right, column for me." I said, "What?" I said, "Okay." All right, this is. So I said, "Okay, I'll try." And so it was on her brainchild that it started. And I started. This is under a year of the Observer's existence. And I started. And I really had a chance to really express myself. And ironically, what people don't know, I write by pen.
To this day. But people who don't know you don't know your handwriting.
It's so bad that even I can't read it. Because I can't type as fast as I think, right? But I write as fast. Well, I try to write as fast as I think. So much so, the pen skids out. Because I speak same way. The words just
fluid.
So on Thursdays, I write on Thursdays midnight. I have my pad, my pen. I put it down, and don't ask me what I'm going to write. I have a topic, yes, but don't ask me what I'm going to write. That's why I could not teach it, right? Because I break all the rules of writing. So I have my pen, I start, and it just flows. It just flows. Thursday nights and midnight. Friday mornings, no, that's okay. Then transcribe it from pad to my laptop. Friday mornings, it has to be the next day. Because if one day passes and I don't do it, I can't read it. I can't decide. I can't decipher it.
Yes, Tony, I know.
I can't decipher it, right? I remember at BBT, Marie, our secretary, McDonald, I'd ask her to actually type from at a time. And poor Mary sometimes was in tears. No, Mr. Rob, I can't read this. And just call her, and even me, it was a Mary, Lord, wish you were that.
No, but sometimes she asks me, and I'm like, me?
Right. But she was great, But after that, I started to type myself. And the column really propelled me into a different side of popularity, because the people took on to it. And the reason being is because I reflected the pulse of our people. People say, "Well, you write so much thing on, I say, I listen and I write. And our people are so colourful and full of experiences that it's very easy to just have them in my head, write down. And also, right, I always was a prolific reader. I learned to read before my parents even knew I could read, because my late brother, would bring home comics, and he would sit down and read to me. So after a while, I caught on and he would show me. So I talk about maybe age 3, 4, or whatever, very very young. So my parents didn't know that I could read until they said, "What do it? Tony can't read," and that started me off as a child. I read prolific. I was a prolific reader. Comics, thousands of comics. I read everything. Hardy Boy books, Nancy Drew, Superman, Batman, the Green Lantern. I read everything. And the comics then, I can't speak about them now. Comics then were also educational. I learned, even though there's a comic called Metal Men. There's 4 heroes. And I learned so much about the chemistry and the metallurgy from those comics. What gold was, make up silver, cadmium, everything, right? And why I say that, it's Gregory, that even though what I'm writing, to show how a person's brain is, even when writing, I will draw on those things from my childhood. And people say, "Well, you know that?" But it's things from my childhood
that remain with you.
Remain. Even now, I watch Jeopardy. My wife and I was sit all the while. We watched every day, no Jeopardy. And I answer things, and she say, "How you know that?" And I say, I really don't know, but it's deep from my childhood memories of things, and because your brain is so remarkable that it retains things from age 4, 5, 6. So even though when I write now, I write stuff, and these things are drawn from my childhood, and
automatic.
Automatic.
Wow.
No research. You could do pour through books, everything. It's just all there. So my drawback, my fault or drawback, right, was to edit my writing, because when I start, I can't stop. So the observer asked me, says,
"Tighten it up.
T-Rob, if you can just tighten it up." but even now, I have a full page still.
Yeah.
Every Sunday in Observer, and it gives me an outlet to express my views on things, and also other people's views also.
And sometimes you ruffle a few feathers, too, don't?
Sometimes, most times I ruffle. But I try to be balanced in my writing, but whenever I ruffle feathers on female side, they cuss me. And on the men's side, they cuss me. But overall, it's balanced. And fortunately, it is still popular, because even though on the streets, people say, "Boy, T-Rob, boy, last week you write something, boy, I play the boy. I'll show you, I'll show you, I say, Women say, boy, I didn't really like I write last week, but I must admit, it was true, I say,
No, the article is very popular. People talk about it a lot.
Yeah,
People talk about it a lot. It's a pity you never write the article when we're doing when we're at BBT. You'll get much more work.
Yes. Quite true. With hindsight,
Well, you have a different side of life apart from media. Well, before I even got your T-Rob, from when you started out in the early 70s, correct? Late 60s, early 70s?
What was that?
In media, at JIS.
I started JIS August 1970.
1970, right?
Right.
To know, talk about the changes and the transition that have happened from then till now. Talk about, we had one TV station that was poorly resourced.
Black and white at one time.
Black and white.
Yeah.
Tell me about the evolution of at least television.
Yeah, well, okay, great. I'll say, right, we have more sources now, but I think that we were doing far more then with little than what these guys have today. These guys have everything at their fingertips. And what we were doing at the time on shoestring budgets, I mean, plays, musicals, drama, documentaries with little or nothing, black and white days, you know, and also I think also the training then was far more focused than it is now. Right now, people are just flung on TV and say, read that, I read that. Back in those days, we were trained diligently by masters of their craft. People like Chappie Juice, who were so meticulous, in what he taught. I.D. Muir, Soundman, extraordinaire.
And you work with people like Easton Lee and Corina Meeks.
Easton Lee, Mrs. Meeks, Freddie Barrow. Don, Don Buckner at JBC. Even in those days, right, even though I was employed formally at JIS, because of my work ethic, and I don't want to blow trumpet, but because of I did good work, the JBC actually used me as a freelancer to do a lot of their programs. In fact, Morning Time, it was Lucky Chung and myself. He was employed at JBC, at JIS, but Don actually utilized me, right? And Lucky Chung and myself were directors of Morning Time, alternate days.
Because it was live.
Live TV.
Live in the early morning. You have to get there at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Early morning, right? You know, so back in those days, like I said, the evolution, and I think also that we took more pride in our work. Also, I think in that time, and the training and skill set. I'm wrong. I don't know, but I think it was far more intense and focused than that is now. Because the presenters, all right. I wasn't in that era, but right back in those days, people were trained for almost a year before they were allowed to go on the air, radio or TV. You know, we taught people like Faye Ellington, you know, people.
Extensive training. I hear Tony Patel in an interview say, when he went for audition, if you get one word mispronounced, you're not about to come back.
Yes.
In the audition.
Yes.
Yeah.
People were trained, you know, because the Wycliffe Bennett was a master of elocution and training, and he trained people. Nowadays, a girl look good, put her on TV, and the mistakes are just, they are astounding. The bad grammar, bad pronunciation. I say, how she on TV? Who train her? But what? The pretty face and speak okay. But back in those days, you know, people were trained and trained and trained, and so that's right.
What I call it is internet standards we have now.
Oh Lord, yes, yeah.
But Tony, you also did a very important piece of directing for live television when we had World Junior Championships, correct?
Oh yes.
Tell me about that.
That I think was my biggest project as a director ever. That was the era of Usain Bolt, when Bolt was just emerging as a young superstar. And Branson Juice, Kurt Buchanan were a large part of the team. And I was director of the team, right? Biggest thing I ever did. Use about, in total, I think 21 cameras in total. And just picture Olympics. It was really
A Junior Olympics.
A Junior Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really, I mean, 5-6 days of intense work, but using GI staffers to people like Charles, we drew everybody from all middle eras and did it right. And I recall afterwards, the guy from, I don't remember his name, was it IOC, he said it was the best junior games he had ever seen produced. And I believe him because I saw a shot afterwards. I saw shots of previous games. I said, what? It is so ordinary. And that really, I mean, I enjoyed doing it so much because you drew out all of my creative juices at the time. Cleveland Wilson was a video switcher at the time, and I was director. And it was so good, so well done, that afterwards, World Netball came here and asked me to do it also again. Netball, to me, wasn't as exciting as a director as World Junior Games because
it wasn't as complex.
Not complex, because it's a small court, up and scoring. But the Junior Games now, people running, jumping. I mean, that was huge.
Action packed.
It was action packed, man.
Yeah. And it was it was very well received locally.
Yes.
Not to mention internationally. But locally, people really enjoyed watching it on television.
Yeah, man, Usain Bolt era, man. I mean, that time, Bolt emerged on the scene as this young superstar, this tall, skinny guy running.
Who fulfilled his potential.
Absolutely.
Which is not always a thing among athletes. Yes. I mean, it's hard to transition from junior to pro leagues.
Very difficult. Very, very difficult.
Yeah.
But Bolt, he also had his ups and downs. Because when he started out, he's like it. The nerves got to him. And one time he actually did a race with his chain in his mouth. And people say...
And got a lot of pushback for it.
The boy not good and blah, blah, but... he emerged into a huge superstar.
He matured, and most importantly, he found a coach who could coach him.
He found a coach.
Which is what I always talk about, the importance of coaches.
Mr. Mills, yeah, man.
I mean, coaches are what really make athletes.
Coach, mentor.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
So you, T-Rob, the athlete now, you are head of Saido Karate in Jamaica?
Yes, yeah.
What dan are you these days, T-Rob?
The 7th Dan.
7th Dan, T-Rob.
So,
T-Rob, I shouldn't be sitting so close to you.
No, my title's down.
Because he used to grab me by some little place over there a long time with that. Just some little things and all. Next thing you know, I knock out and wake up the next morning.
Oh, no,
that's only a joke.
That's about man. Yeah. The title's Seishihan, which is a title. I started karate at YMCA from I was about 18 years old. And I never stopped. I mean, karate has changed my life completely because it built even more confidence, which I had before from KC days. Because all KC boys are confident.
All KC boys have issues.
No issues. All KC boys are confident. In fact, this last few weeks ago, I wrote in the Observer a column. Why them hate KC so? Why them hate KC so? Right? Try and read it. I sent you because it is what right. Anyway, from that karate, it built even so much so my confidence, and I started out. I thought I was a big strong fighter, but my first class, pretty small guy, Newton James, gave me such a whooping. I said, "Wow."
Newton James, the broadcast engineer?
No, man.
Different one.
Yeah. Right. He's away now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, he showed me that even a person is small, don't watch it. And I said, I will have to really learn my skill as a karate. And Oscar Lawson, who died afterwards, right?
Great sound man.
In fact, he was the one who actually drew me into karate because at JIS, he drew me in, and I started, and I never looked back. We trained. I mean, we were brutal. We trained, and I remember a team left here. Left here, I think, in 1973 when the New York tournament, New York. People say, "We don't care, go to New York. I win anything, because, we're not good." And we came back with dozens of trophies. And afterwards, every year went away, won trophies. We went to South Africa, won trophies. We went to Japan. We won trophies now. We came first now. First place, male and female, in South Africa, in Japan, right, in Europe. I mean, the Dudley, England, please call it the Dudley. We toured the world and we made our name known in karate. And for 3 years in a row, I was the heavyweight champion of Jamaica. Back then, I could fight back then, you know what I mean? And I was really brash and, confident, and which segued right into my role as stuntman in movies, because
The Mighty Queen.
that was the first one, Denzel.
Denzel Washington.
Right. I was his what do you call it? His
stunt double.
Stunt double.
Yeah.
The feet and so on, right? And Natalie Thompson was responsible for my induction into movies. Because she asked me if you would stunt. I said, well, at karate, I done the stunts. I never did it before, but I said, so she called me in. And I remember I'm doing this movie called The Passion in Paradise. And Bobby Smith and myself, the Finzi Smith, security. We were these rebels who were asked to destroy a village, lead up a flash mob and wreck a village, right? And one role I had to do was to climb up a 3-story building. And while I reached the top of it now, a soldier took his gun, his rifle butt, and hit me in the head. Move it, and I fell backwards. No, I've never done anything like this before. Ever. But I said, if I do karate, I can fight all over the world and do all these things. Why can't I do this too? And the guy coached me how to do it. He said, when you fall, just relax. Don't stiffen up. Because in karate, when you fall, you break fall.
Yeah.
By slapping, I guess. No. In this case now, you fall from a great height. So just relax. And that is sponges and foam and boxes. So I climbed up, hit, and I fell back. And after that now, that's Passion Paradise. I think it starred Armand Asante.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so that to me was a big stunt. And afterwards, I was also in this movie with Instinct, with Anthony Hopkins. And I remember, what tell you, he's such a humble person, Hopkins. I remember we shot it in Jack's Hall, which was like supposed to be Africa, but because of all the trees and bushes, look at Africa. And we shot there, right? I remember lunch break. There's Hopkins, big actor, Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, man, Sir Anthony
Hopkins, right?
Yeah.
It does at the bench, at the crew bench. He was there, and I said, "Hello, I'm Tony." He said, I'm Tony too. And I also remember that, and it's a small thing, but those things really resonate with me in my mind. To say, you're just a huge actor, and he's just so humble that he does. Go to the box lunch at lunchtime, instinct. So I played a soldier. Out of my soldier, like a gorilla. Out of my military gear and everything. Instinct. So that was fun. So because of karate, I transformed
Into stunts.
into stunts.
Back into media.
And back in the media also.
Back into media. And you had lots of a lot of influence on your karate students. I remember even Lisa Hanna, I believe, was one of your students.
Lisa, yes, Lisa is a black belt, and I have a photograph of her myself, and unfortunately I can't find it right now, but I'll search outside. But Lisa was very good, good at kata, you know. She began very young, you know, because at the time, Erlin was in charge at the time, you know, and I was second to Erlin. Right. Lisa was a student, and she was really, really good, you know, very strong, very focused, very dedicated, you know. There was some. I remember when she won Miss World, I said, "That's our student. That's our student." She was about maybe 18 years old at that time, and we were so proud of her at the time. You know that she's a martial artist in karate, and also intelligent and beauty queen. Yeah, man.
So, T-Rob, when you first came in today, I haven't seen you in a little while. What I said to you is, T-Rob, you now get old.
Gregory, just last week I saw an article by Clint Eastwood. It said, because he's in his 90s and working still. People say, "Oh, you're working still in the 90s and everything." And the article said, "Don't let the old man in." So, in my mind, Gregory, even though I'm X years old, in my mind, I'm still 18 years old. And it's true. I mean, obviously, I can't do things I used to do then, but in my mind, I will do it. And I even in my class right now, I make sure that every week I fight my class, just to keep honed. I can't fly anymore. I can't show these high kicks anymore. But I still, I still hold my own. Even more hold my own because the young guys can't manage me and ask me. But I draw on my experience. So even though I can't do all the fancy stuff anymore, I still have the basics. But I rely on
the old master.
The old master.
The old master with the young man.
With the young man, you're right, yeah. So I don't let the old man in.
So T-Rob, what's next for you now? What other projects you plan to stun the world with?
Oh, well, listen. In the past 2 years, I did two major projects.
Yes.
That I'm very proud of. One was Bank Jamaica's 60th anniversary. Mm-hmm. BOJ now is a huge institution, mm-hmm. Huge, respected, revered, and I had the honor. Joan Andrea Hutchinson, mm-hmm. the producer, and I was director. Right, and Joan was great. She did that, and also she wrote the script. And so I had to go to BOJ and shoot every department to talk to staffers, history, everything. And interestingly, to show fortuitously, BOJ prior to that was my client from years ago. So I shot staffers there from maybe 20 years ago. And those staffers had since died. And like I said, fortuitously, and I said, life has no coincidences. And I had those tapes.
Archived again. Archived.
I had those tapes, yeah. Right. Alf Grant and so on, who was BOJ's, one of BOJ's first employees. And I had those tapes in my library. So when they asked me to do this document, I could just pluck out these tapes of people who nobody else had.
Nobody else could do that to me.
Staffers who had gone, and so we use that in the documentary, and and I'm proud of it. Joan was great as a writer producer. I directed it, and it was, I was very proud of it. And then afterwards, now I did my most recent project was a documentary on Oliver Samuels. The idea came to my mind from 2014 because Oliver deserves to have his name cemented, not on the papyrus, but on tape. So after we're all long gone, people can say, this was Oliver. And from 2014, I approached Oliver to say, Oliver, I want to do a documentary on your life. So him say, sure, T-Rob, sure, yeah. Right. And but as you know, it takes cash to care.
Are you a politician out here, Rob?
Eh?
Are you a politician now?
That's one thing I stay far from.
It's a slogan, you know.
Yeah, I know. No, I stay far from.
But it does take cash to care,
Yes,
in that sense.
When
Me around.
right?
Yes.
And so I said, okay, I want to do this the documentary on Oliver. Now, prior to that, Oliver and I were together before.
Well, let me remind you. You remember one time at King's House, we shot a live performance of Oliver at Large.
Which I still,
you remember that?
Which I still have, which I used in the documentary. Yes, of course.
Sorry, continue.
Ron Nasrallah.
Ron Nasrallah, yes.
Stephen Hill.
I think it was sponsored by Scotiabank, if memory serves.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And those things were also a part of the documentary.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Oliver, right? Back in my JS days, I wrote a play called Just One More, dealing with alcoholism. Just one more. I'll drink. Yeah, man, just one more. Right? Starring at a time, Valier Johnson. He was a star. Valier, Oliver, and Teddy Price were co-stars. So at that time, Valier was more renowned than Oliver. Valier played the part very well. Just one more. Where he was an ordinary guy, middle class guy, started drinking, and drinking is a demon that overtakes you. And the old saying goes, you dance with the devil, he won't change, but you will. And Valier changed. Valier, I'll drink, man, just one more. Anyway, Oliver was involved in that as co-star. So afterwards, I did the other stuff with Oliver too. So I said I want to do this documentary with Oliver Samuels, but can't find the funding. So I approached Chase Funds, and they saw the concept. I wrote the outline, everything, I said I want to do this thing, Oliver, which they liked, but the wheels roll slowly, but they roll. So after a long time, they said I can't do it right now and blah, blah, blah. I tried again like a year afterwards. And, it wasn't happening. So I gave up. Years afterwards now, my friend Maxine Brown, my old friend from Harvey days, we were talking. And she asked about the thing. So I said, Maxine, I can't bother, because I tried to get funds. I can't get it. She said, T-Rob, no, man. T-Rob, try again, man. Maxine, I can't bother, man. Because I have shame, I can't, I can't beg. So she said, no, T-Rob, try again, man. And I must give Maxine credit. Maxine spurred me. And I tried again. And a month afterwards, they emailed me and called me to say that they approved my project, and they were funded. But what I asked for, they only gave me like about a half of what I asked for. So I said, oh, this can't do it. But I said, the old thing, the old adage, half a loaf, better than a loaf. I said, I tell you what, let me even take this and even start the project. So I took the funding, which was half what I asked for. I think under half, but at least it's something I could start it. So I started Gregory and started shooting with Oliver. And Oliver is a joy to work with. He's a joy to work with. And the people who I approached to speak about Oliver and his impact on their lives, they were magnanimous. They spoke volumes about how Oliver impact their lives and everything. So that was a joy to work on. Anyway, so after I did the first draft now, I sent it back to Chase. I said, listen now, I've reached this far, but we can't have no more money done. But the draft, the first draft of video was so good that they gave me some more funding. So I said, wow, that's great. You know what I mean? And so I did even more. But it was such a huge project. Back as far as all of us were, he grew up to know a place called the Sherman's Worth, right? And I must commend my cameraman, Victor Johnson. Victor really put his heart and soul into doing this thing. And he went on his own to find places where Oliver, his schooling and everything, and you know, so I must big up Victor for really putting so much into the project. And so after we did the first draft now, I gave Chase fund. They say, whoa, it's so good. And they gave me some more funding. But then even while shooting, because it was a large project, I said, boy, you know, so I said, someone said, approach the Ministry of the Culture, Gender and so on, Babs Grange. So I went for someone who also spoke in the video, was instrumental. He said, listen, apply to Ministry and see what happens. Because, I mean, the money finished now. I have people to pay and blah, 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 blah. So I applied to Ministry, Mr. Grange, through Langford, and they too gave me more funding to finish the project, which I am forever grateful for. You know what I mean? Because it is really, I don't want to say that it was a lifetime achievement, but it's something I wanted to do so badly. I started from 2014, so that's about
a 10-year thing, almost.
10 years, right? And I finally got it done, and I was, you know, I mean, it's not perfect, but I mean, no documentary on a person is perfect, because there are things that the person might want to say and didn't say, or things that they maybe said in documentary that they don't want shown. A second thought.
Yeah.
But I think that it is a fitting testament to Oliver and his life. And it's been shown on TVJ here, and Cayman, also shown on PBCJ, and also Flo took it up and showed it in the diaspora in the Caribbean. So it's been doing the rounds, and I'm very proud of it. You know, as a boy, you know, because a person like Oliver deserves that, or even more, for what he has done for
Jamaican culture.
Drama,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, awesome.
Culture. I wish I can do more in the future. So you ask me what
next?
Right. I'd like to do more of that stuff, of our icons, because there are so many people who are around, who've been around for so long. A person like Alma McCain.
Mm-hmm.
Alma is almost 100 years old, and Alma was there from I was a boy. Alma was there, and she's there now, nearly 100 years old. So I'd like to do something on her, a person like her, because so many have passed and gone and have forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
There's no document, no history, and people nowadays, as you know, have a very short attention span. A young person, 30, 40, don't know those persons. So who was that? Who was Charles Hyatt? Who was, you know,
Leonard Forbes. Yeah.
Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So at least Miss Lou had a documentary done.
Mm-hmm.
But so at least Oliver is there.
He deserves it.
On tape,
Yeah.
and 10 years time,
Yeah.
40 years time, people say, oh, you know, that was him. So I'd like to do more of that kind of stuff. I also like to do even more drama. But drama is so expensive to do because it's multi cameras and actors,
Locations
location,
and all kind of things.
right? But drama is really in my blood, and I love drama. I mean, I love plays and everything, right? So I like to do, and talking about plays now. Even back then, my classmate, the Ginger Knight, were at school together, and even from them he was a class joker, and it's so sad that the people have passed on, and their work. There's no documentation of their work, and I recall even at a time, even from BBT days, Ginger, let's do your plays now, but he was afraid that we shoot it, and people take it, bootleg it, pirate it. So that fear was there that Simpson, no, not shooting it because people are going to thief it. I said, which happens. People steal people's stuff and you have it on all over the world.
It happened to Oliver.
Yeah, Oliver.
It happened to Oliver.
It was did a series which I directed some of them called Sergeant Charge. I did it. And one day I'm walking in New York, 14th Street, looking at a shop, and there's DVD or VHS at the time, VHS tape. Sergeant Charge. So, because at the same time I said, can you believe that the production is being sold on New York streets? So it's really a two-edged sword because you want to shoot it and keep it, but the people are afraid that if you shoot it, they're gonna lose it.
They're gonna lose it.
So that's irony. Years ago, I did Chorone's play, one-man play, Bellas Gate Boy, and also Old Story Time. I have those on tape right now.
Oh yeah?
I have them on tape.
What sort of time was Charles had, don't?
Charles had, right? So it's really Bellas Gate Boy.
Yeah.
With Chorone, shot at the Band Theatre, and I have a tape still, raw footage, and in the future I'd like to really put together and show it, because a lot of people nowadays don't even remember the depth and the worth of Chorone.
Yeah.
He was a genius.
Yeah.
And a nice person too.
Yeah.
A humble man, full of humor, and so gifted. So I have those on tape right now. All sort of time. You picture, Gregory, one man on stage alone, telling.
When me was a boy.
Who was a boy?
I use the line to my students sometimes, and I want to tell them what old time there is. I say, there's something called old story time with Charles. I said, he would start the stories by saying, when me was a boy.
Yes. Well, Bellas Gate Boy,
Yeah.
Chorone on stage at Barn Theatre, telling a story, and the audience, they were riveted. They were entranced by this man, just watching his nuances, how I mean, he painted a picture of his life for almost 2 hours. There was no time for boredom. And I mean, sheer genius. And most people haven't seen it because Barn Theatre was pretty small, so really a small audience. But I have it on tape. So my plan is to, in the near future, Live Spear, is to put together, produce it, and let it fly. So people know who Chorone was.
Awesome. T-Rob, this has been great. Long time we don't sit down and talk.
Long time, man. Long bench.
We have to do it more often because life is short.
Gregory, I tell you, I've lost so many of my friends, schoolmates of mine, my best friend from high school. Well, every week you read some person go on. Because life is just a journey, a train. And we each have our station, our stop. But I tell you, right, I mean, I have no regrets. I have no regrets, you know, and I enjoyed everything that I did.
Awesome.
And as Clint Eastwood said, don't let the old man in.
Can't end on a better note. T-Rob,
Thank you so much, Gregory, for having me.
thank you for coming.